It's been a little while, but recently I went to Kitty's Gorge again. Right as winter is ending and everything is beyond stunning. It's my favourite time to be there, when everything becomes a fairy wonderland. The floor of the forest is covered in clover and the sweetest little pink flowers. The water in the river is flowing and the small animals are all out and about working in the changing seasons. It's like being in another world. We packed our bags with a little picnic and some jumpers just in case, and we set off for a full day hike. We didn't know how long we were going to take and whether we'd make it the whole way or not, but we just wanted to see where the day would take us. It's not often that we get to go out on a big hike day together, so I was super excited to finally explore my favourite spot with my favourite person. And my oh my, what a day that we ended up having. It was beyond any expectations that we could have had. I've talked about it before, about one of my favourite things on a hike is to try and spot as many little animals as I can. It makes you become way more aware about your surroundings, and you tend to spot things that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed. Like this little bee. I watched him for maybe 10-15 minutes. It was really sweet watching him. And spotting all the different coloured flowers that were appearing. Spring is definitely the best time of year for these kinds of activities. I think especially living and growing up in Australia, you kind of get used to how barren the land is. So when you find a spot that's like a little magical green forest, you kind of make the most of it as much as you can. There's a different kind of beauty that I can't imagine anywhere else. To spring. What a beautiful time. The world awakens, the rivers and creeks are flowing, the animals are out and singing, and the greenery is thriving. The wildflowers, where do we even begin? The symbolism of spring is such a beautiful thing. You can feel the seasonal depression lifting as our vitamin D levels rise again. The outside world invites us to join in its embrace once more. Rebirth, renewal, rejuvenation, returning to abundance. And all the old is renewed. What a time it is to be alive in such a beautiful world. There was a point in the hike where I ended up having to take my shoes off because I developed a blister, which was so painful that I figured I would give it a try just walking on the rocks instead, which also was painful, but it was a different type of pain and it was worth continuing on. This next spot just around the corner past all the open fields, there's this bit of the river that is just so peaceful, and I love sitting. There's this big tree that kind of comes over the river, and I love sitting on that tree because you're just above the water and it's just so still. One thing I loved about this trip was previously when I've done this, I've sat in this spot, but it was a solo hike, which there is a video on my channel from that trip. But this time Mark was with me, so he came out and sat in the tree with me, and we had a good chat and good laughs and just a good rest. This is the point where we decided we'd turn around and start heading back before we lost too much daylight. But it was nice just to sit for a little bit of peace halfway. Adventures alone are absolutely beautiful and I really cherish them, but adventures with loved ones I feel is when I deeply connect with people the most. So I'll go on hikes with friends or with my husband or family, and I feel like there's just this, like a deeper connection that I don't get just in the city or in a cafe or something. Road trips especially, I feel, bring out more connection. If I'm totally honest, we did get lost on our way back for a little bit there, but we managed to find our way back to the path and back to the waterfall, which ended up being one of my favourite parts of this whole hike. Mark ended up jumping in. We had just been in the bush for so long that it just felt right. I've probably mentioned it in a video before, but over the last year, maybe two, I've lived by this motto that peace and adventure coexist. It started out just as a motto for my business, Soul Search Studio, but it has slowly weaved its way into life in pretty much every aspect, and how it's a balance between both peace and adventure, because you can't have full peace without experiencing adventure, and you can't have full adventure without experiencing peace. If you only have one, you don't tend to enjoy it in the same way. You need both and you need balance. And I think that's the same with a lot of things in life. It got quite dark on our way back, and we noticed that the little pink flowers that were open when we got there had gone to sleep. It was so cute noticing all of them just all folded up. The things that you don't really notice unless you get out there and explore and take notice of the little things. Lately, my husband and I have been asking each other what would best self do if we're stuck on a decision. Sometimes best self says yes, and sometimes they say no. And it's been a really cool way to kind of help us just live our best lives. Mark's best self said yes to jumping in the waterfall. And that led to such an awesome night, some great conversations, and overall just a great adventure. Ready to come home, have a warm shower, a warm meal, and sleep, ready for the next one.